You're listening to Financial Issues. By the way, if you want to call in, 866-300-9298. The indices, the Dow's up 66 right now. So if the Dow, let me think, right? 66, 100, the Dow's going to have to get up, I guess, to about 90 or close the day around 90. If it does that, it will have picked up today and yesterday the loss from Tuesday, which was huge. So the Dow, could potentially gain back by the end of the day based on the fact that it continues to tick up. So supply data came out, and natural gas is down right now based on the fact that there has been an increase by about 67 billion cubic feet of natural gas in the supply forecast. So natural gas, just if you own that natural gas as a commodity, you've gotten clobbered. But it's at 354 right now. So natural gas taking a dip down based on the fact that they've got, there's plenty of supply out there. And it's good to see that supply number being where it is, because we're just a couple months away from the heating season. So that'll keep heating costs down. That's good for me anyway, since I heat with natural gas. So, but not good for those commodity owners or those dependent upon the price of natural gas. But once again, it's down. So good supply data numbers coming out for natural gas, which means demand is not going to be an issue right now anyway. So that's a little bright spot for costs being down in the energy sector anyway. It's a shame we don't drive our cars with natural gas, though. Anyway, let me go back to the phones. Ron from Illinois. Hey, Ron.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
I want to God bless you and your family and your ministry. You're doing awesome work. I listen to you all the time. And I'm 65.
Thank you, Ron.
I'm still working. I've signed up for Social Security, and I'm started drawing.
Okay.
And that work just come out with a post-65 plan, and I fall into that. If I don't retire by the November, I will lose my coverage and my supplement for me and my wife, which she's 64 and she'll be 65 next September, not this September. Should I try to work another year, or should I go ahead and try to retire by November 30th?
Well, I would probably suggest to you to try to work another year if you can.
Right. Yeah.
I think that makes the most sense. If you're in good health, Ron, and your wife's in relatively good health, then I think yes, I think you ought to try to work that other year. And right. I suppose you have a. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I've had a few health issues, but nothing major. I thank God I'm still pretty good. So
that's great. And you have a 401k at work?
Pardon?
You have a 401k at work, I assume,
yes, we
right?
Do. We have a 401k at work. Yes, we do. And it's,
so that allows.
4%.
Wow, that's great, and that allows you to continue to contribute to that for another year, and that's good as well. So, a lot of good reasons why you need to do that.
I will probably hit before October. I'll be 66, and I can draw my full amount then. But since I've already signed up, I'm going to probably go over the limit I can make, and I know I'll have to pay back. I understand that. But do you think Social Security, say, in another year, with me already drawing, do you think they could reduce my Social Security amount?
No. No, I don't think. Well, you said, do you think they could reduce it? Yeah, they can do anything they want, unfortunately. But no, I don't think they will. I think anybody, frankly, I think anybody probably over 55 is never going to see any changes in Social Security. If they are, they're going to be so minute, they're not going to make much difference. So I don't think that, I think you're safe. It sounded like you were getting ready to ask about, you're another one that I'll say again, I'm getting all these questions. I'm not trying to promote my newsletter. It's free. But tomorrow, my newsletter, I have an article about this very thing. So if I were you, I would consider. I would truly consider. I know you've already signed up for it, but going to Social Security and telling them you want to wait. And you're able to do that, by the way. As a matter of fact, if you are collecting and you decide you want to wait, you can pay back what you're collecting and wait. So I would do that. I mean, I think it would be wise for you to wait if you're going to work another year and you don't need the income. Rather than to pay tax on that Social Security, I think you'd be far better off to wait and have an increase in your Social Security. One of the things that I wrote about this week in my newsletter is the thing that I say all the time. I'm planning on waiting until I'm 70 to collect Social Security. Now, I don't plan on retiring, but I'm going to wait till 70 because I have to take it at 70. And I'm going to get about a 33% increase by waiting. Now, before everybody emails me and tells me how much money I'm missing out on, I'm retired, or I'm going to be retired. I don't care about accumulating any wealth. It's not it's not an interest to me. What is interesting and of interest to me and my wife is that we are still going to be, we're still going to have certain bills that we have to pay. We're still going to be consuming a certain amount. And my interest is to have more income than I have, more coming in than I have going out. So I'm strictly going to make a shift at age 70 anyway, that I'm only going to care about income. And I think we all need to make that shift. So I would wait. I would put it off. Ron, if you can hold off another year, not draw it, and it's just going to be taxed anyway, you're going to get, another whatever you get, 5, 6, 10% increase by waiting. I would consider waiting. I think it makes sense.
Well, I'll pray for your ministry every day. You do an awesome job.
Thank you, Ron. You know what? That is such a blessing. Thank you. Man, I need the prayers, folks. This ministry needs the prayers. AFR needs the prayers, and I certainly need them personally. You always think, regardless of what's going on, and I'm big on this, and my wife is good to remind me that I don't care. I'll take the punishment of whatever comes along. But sometimes it does get discouraging. Sometimes it gets frustrating. Sometimes you hear that in my voice. I know. So, man, I covet your prayers. And one time years ago, back when I was still managing hundreds of millions of dollars, someone asked me, and people would ask, how do you do this? How do you manage hundreds of millions of dollars? I was managing about $700-800 million at any given time. And you seem to make pretty decent picks and do a good job. And I always said, the beauty of what I do is there are people all over this country, because I was managing money for folks around the country that are praying for me every day, that are praying that God would give me wisdom and that I'd have strength. And that's how I do it. And so how I continue to do what I'm doing here is because of prayers from Ron and so many others that pray for me. And I covet that far more than I covet a donation or other financial support to the ministry. If I have to choose, I'd much rather have your prayers, and I sure appreciate that, Ron. Let me go to Neil. Neil Cornish from Ohio. Hey, Neil.
Hi. My question is, and I've heard these two organizations advertised by conservative people. I think my question is Generation America versus AMAC, which is the Association of Mature American Citizens. They are both saying that they're a much better organization than AARP, which I believe anybody's got to be better than them. But I want to get your opinion, if you had any personal knowledge of which senior organization would be better of those two.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate the fact that you're looking somewhere else other than AARP. I remember years ago being on a rant campaign to get people to tear their cards up, AARP cards, and send it back to them. AARP doesn't care a lick about seniors' They're not an advocate for seniors. They hold themselves out as one, but they're not. They're an advocate for the liberal ideology in Washington, D.C. That's what they're truly an advocate of, and we shouldn't be a part of it. I can only speak to AMAC. I think they do a great job. I can't speak for, General America. I don't know them that well. They've never made an effort that I know of to help me to get to know them. So they're a little bit of a newer organization, and but I can say about AMAC, I don't endorse any. I don't know any of them to know there's another one out there that I can't think of off the top of my head that I understand is a very good organization, but only because I know them better, AMAC, that they're a good organization, and certainly they're a great alternative to AARP. So. That's the only thing. That's the only information I can give you there, Neil, on that. But I'll tell you something: any organization or no organization at all is better than AARP, in my opinion. So I think you're on the right track. Thank you for that. 866-300-9298. The Dow's up 78 right now, so getting close to that mark where we could be getting back all the losses that the market saw on Tuesday. Let me go to Paula. Paula calling us in Texas. Hey, Paula.
Yes. I'm 73 years old, and I have like $60,000, and the bank want me to put it into an annuity. Should I do that?
No. Don't do it, Paula. Is it $60,000 that you don't necessarily need?
Right.
It's okay. I think you keep it in the bank, Paula. You've got it's a great. It's very liquid. You can get to it if you have an emergency, if you have a need, if you got some issues there. That it's always going to be liquid. The annuity is not going to be liquid because there's going to be a surrender charge with what's attached to that. I'm sure. They have used the annuity folks at the bank have talked about interest rates to you and have told you the merits by way of the interest rate that you would receive on the annuity, that's where you ought to be. And it sounds very appealing because you're not getting anything in the bank to speak of. But
yes.
And having said that, I would say stick with the bank savings at where you are, your stage in your retirement. I think that you're far better off having that money liquid, available.
Like in a money
if
market?
Something like in a money market, yeah, I would be okay with a CD. Not now, not today, but I do believe we're going to see CD rates start to come up by the end of this year. So you may want to move it at some point in time in a CD if as the rates come up. But right now, I know you're not earning anything, and I know the argument is, well, I'm losing money because I'm not even keeping pace with inflation and all those things. And I don't dispute that. I'm not saying that's not true, but I'd rather you have it safe, the principal, with a little bit of risk in inflation risk. In other words, the dollar going down a little bit, your ability to buy, you're not going to buy the same bag of groceries that you're buying today for $100. You're not going to be able to buy that same bag next year, and I understand that. But I like the idea of preservation and having that great emergency fund set aside. So I think you keep it right where it is, Paula.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Let's see if we can get George in here real quick from Georgia. Hey, George.
Hey, Dan, here's my question. I hear a lot of folks that are, they're getting into retirement and stuff. I'm only 29. We've got a small construction company. We do all right. We do fairly well. My wife's a little bit younger than I am. But what I'm concerned about is where do I need to put my money where I know it's going to be there? I don't want to guess it's going to be there when I hit 60. I want to know it's going to be there.
Yeah, great question, George. Here's what you need to do. Now, I'm going to assume for a moment this is not working capital. In other words, money that you might need to supplement your business. I can tell you at your age, there are some solid corporations a couple of solid mutual funds in Timothy only that you can put your money and feel pretty good about. Not all of it, but 40% of it for now. But the rest of it, you got to leave in cash and assume that if the economy collapses, that the FDIC is going to get bailed out. The only thing that you can say you know where the money's going to be there, of course, is in a coffee can buried in your backyard, probably. So I think it ought to be safe right now. Put it in the bank, but you've got to, at your age, you're going to have to trust. Listen, if all else fails, ExxonMobil is still going to be around. There are some corporations that aren't going anywhere in your lifetime. So that's what I think you ought to do. Remember, folks, all that we have is His. Let's be found a good and faithful steward. Have a great day. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.